If you weren't raised in the church and raised in a Christian family, you probably didn't grow up with celebrating Jesus on Christmas and his birthday. But if you want to know about it, we're about to dive into Matthew and read verse by verse on Hi Dad Soup about what it's like when Jesus was born and he escaped death on the first day of his life. And he's going to escape death many more times until he doesn't on purpose. This is Hi Dad Soup. Let's get into it. We're going to be reading the book of Matthew. This is the first book of the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. That is 4 accounts of the life of Jesus. But Matthew is the first one, and that's what we're going to be starting with. So in the first chapter of Matthew is the entire genealogy of Jesus Christ. So you have from Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Esau, all of them, until all the way up until King David, and then through King David all the way to Jesus. And basically, this is more proof that the Bible is real. It gives a real account of every single family and genealogy for 1,000 years. It's like 1,500 years, I believe. That's incredible. I would have to double check that. I'm going to fact check that. I think it might be 2,000 years. But yeah, so we're going to start at chapter 2, which is after you go through the entire genealogy of Jesus Christ. And we're going to be reading word for word, verse by verse. Now after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, "Where is he who has been born King of the Jews? For we saw his star when it rose, and have come to worship him." When Herod the king heard this, he was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And assembling all the chief priests and scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born. They told him, "In Bethlehem of Judea, for so it is written by the prophet." Verse 6, "And you, O Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means least among the rulers of Judah. For from you shall come a ruler who will shepherd my people Israel." Verse 7, "Then Herod summoned the wise men secretly and ascertained from them what time the star had appeared. And he sent them to Bethlehem, saying, 'Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring me word, that I may too come and worship him.'" All right. After listening to the king, they went on their way. And behold, the star that they had seen when it rose went before them until it came to rest over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they rejoiced exceedingly with great joy. And going into the house, they saw the child with Mary his mother, and they fell down and worshipped him. Then opening their treasures, they offered him gifts, gold and frankincense and myrrh. And being warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed to their own country by another way. Verse 13, "Now when they had departed, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream and said, 'Rise, take the child and his mother, and flee to Egypt, and remain there until I tell you. For Herod is about to search for the child to destroy him.' And he rose and took the child and his mother by night and departed to Egypt, and remained there until the death of Herod. This was to fulfill what the Lord had spoken by the prophet, 'Out of Egypt I called my son.' Then Herod, when he saw he had been tricked by the wise men, became furious, and he sent and killed all the male children in Bethlehem and in all that region who were 2 years old or under, according to the time that he had ascertained from the wise men. Then was fulfilled what was spoken by the prophet Jeremiah. A voice heard in Ramah, weeping the loud lamentation, Rachel weeping for her children. She refused to be comforted because they are no more. But when Herod died, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, 'Rise, take the child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel, for those who sought the child's life are dead.' And he rose and took the child and his mother and went to the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus was reigning over Judea in place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go there. And being warned in a dream, he withdrew to the district of Galilee. And he went and lived in the city called Nazareth, so that what was spoken by the prophets might be fulfilled, that he would be called a Nazarene. That was Matthew chapter 2. Wow. So Jesus was born in Bethlehem. It was a census that was going on where everybody in the land was being told to go back to their birthplace, the fathers, because they were trying to take a census, which is basically counting the population. So they were living in Nazareth, but then they had to go back to Bethlehem to give birth. And so they made the journey. It was a hard journey on a donkey, and there was no room for a baby in the inn. No room for Joseph and Mary because the city was full because of the census. And that's when the three kings came to visit baby Jesus, and they gave him the gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. This is like the Christmas story. This is where Christmas is basically coming from. And a lot of Christians celebrate this, as does my family, and I grew up with this. So it's really cool. And I always knew King Herod was the bad guy. So when I first read that, I was like, oh yeah, he's saying, I want to come and worship Jesus. But no, he's just saying that because he wants to be able to get his hands on someone, his competition. He doesn't want any competition. He's an evil man. And so an angel came to Joseph again. This guy's getting angels coming to him all the time. I'm quite a little bit jealous because when Mary became pregnant with Jesus, he was about to leave her because obviously he hadn't slept with Mary. She was a virgin, but she's with child. An angel came to Joseph and was like, no, this is the Holy Spirit, and you're going to have a son, and you're going to name him Jesus, and you're going to marry Mary. You're going to marry Mary, and it's going to be great. So an angel again calls him and tells him to go to Egypt until Herod dies. And then you see it throughout the Old Testament, Jeremiah and Isaiah. These are prophets that God spoke through in the book of Jeremiah in the Old Testament, saying all these prophecies that are going to come to be, that Jesus, the Messiah, is going to be born in Bethlehem. He's going to be born of a virgin. He's going to be a Nazarene. All these prophecies, the numbers are astronomical if these came true, which they obviously did, because we have a genealogy. We have written testaments saying even people that are not Christians, like the Roman people that kept Roman books on the census and other facts of things like this, like historic books, prove that the Bible is real and the Bible is true. And if a Messiah even came, I believe, within and fulfilled 8 prophecies of the Old Testament, 8, the chances of it being the Messiah and it being true is like an astronomical number that can't even be pronounced. I don't know how to pronounce it. But anyway, Jesus is back in Nazareth. And this was chapter 2. He escaped the wrath of King Herod. There was a star of David that shone above where Jesus was born in Bethlehem, so that reigns true. And he got all these gifts and doted on as the Messiah, but we don't really know him as the Messiah yet. That's going to come later once he performs his first miracle at a wedding. And so I'm really excited for it. Reading through these scriptures just brings it alive. I think that going verse by verse is so important because we need to be able to see what the actual words are. I went to church my entire life, but I didn't know exactly what the Bible said. So when you get it and you're older and you have a reading comprehension now and you have life experience and you read back these verses in their full totality, you're able to see and watch the Bible come to life. And that's when it's no longer a dusty, boring book. You get to see these Bible stories that should be made into billion-dollar movies like Avatar because the stories are that good. If you look at any story actually throughout Hollywood and any all these old books and self-help books and big blockbuster movies, they're all stemming from stories of the Bible. There's nothing new under the sun. Anywho, stick close with me and we'll be catching up on chapter 3 and we'll see you in the next one.